Yeah, before then, we'll seek your permission to do this recording because it's a teachable moment and we'd like to have this material to refer to, and also for those who will not be in the meeting, we'd like them to partake. So just so you know, this will be a recorded meeting, and if you don't want your identity, you can change your username or turn your camera off. We plead with you. Thank you. Okay, Dixon, you can go ahead and have the presentation for us, please.
All right. So good evening, everyone, once again. Those who just joined, my name is Dixon. I will be leading today's presentation on a topic, as you see on the screen, on covering the NCLEX pathway for British or UK trained nurses. So this webinar seeks to share an insight on how, if you are a British trained nurse, how you can navigate the whole NCLEX process without rejection from various board of nursing. Next slide, please. By the next slide.
Give me a few seconds. I'm coming.
All right. So whilst we wait for Vida to share the next slide, let me give a bit of a background to some of the challenges that foreign trained nurses go through. So basically, if you are a foreign educated nurse and you want to practice in the US, of course, the first thing that you need to do had to do with credentialing, credential evaluation. We've come to realize that we've had a lot of complaints from, nurses who had their training in the UK, not being able to have the US equivalent just because of how their nursing education is structured. Even though they have the relevant skills, the relevant licenses to convert it to the US, they still, face some little obstacles during their credential evaluation. So we at UPC, of course, we are a consulting group that we help foreign educated nurses who want to transfer their licenses and work in US. So we've been able to deal with these kind of nurses who had their training in the UK, and we just want to share an information on how this can be done. It's doable and it can be done. Yeah. So Vida, if you are ready, you can move to the next slide. So that actually influenced this webinar for today. So it's basically an information sharing. Of course, it's not going to be a monologue. It's a conversation that we are going to have. I will highlight how the whole thing will unfolded, and also there will be a time for you to ask questions and seek clarity as well. So if you can see my screen, of course, we at UPC, we are a processing firm. We are based in US and in Ghana. We are registered in US and in Ghana. We offer consulting services that tackles, foreign or internationally educated nurses, including, those who had their training in the UK. We also assist, foreign educated nurses to obtain a licensure and pursue their career as a registered nurse in the US. We at UPC, we are one of the top, processing firm for many UK trained nurses. We've been in existence for the past 2.5 years now, and we've been able to successfully help UK trained nurses to uncover the NCLEX process and also the licensing processes in the US. We offer a reliable assistance in obtaining, a trusted nursing credential evaluation report for your NCLEX application and licensure. As I indicated earlier on, once you had your nursing education outside the US, the bigger hurdle that you need to cross had to do with getting a credential report that is equivalent to that of the US standard. Next slide, please. Now, let me take you back a little on how, the nursing education in the UK is structured. So the nursing education in the UK is designed in such a way that, as a trainer, you should be able to fit into the NHS settings. So the NHS setting is the bigger, UK bigger healthcare provider for many citizens. It's managed by the government, and if you had your nursing training in the UK, you should be able to practice at these settings as an adult nurse or a mental health nurse or a pediatric, or a child nurse. So, having such a nursing education, it trains you directly on what you perform on the field. So if you are a trained adult nurse, the system doesn't expect you to also function as a mental health nurse. So there are a bit of clinical hours and theory hours when it comes to the syllabus that they use. And some of these things tend to affect them if they want to transition or transfer their credentials to outside the UK. So the British trained nurses have a challenge when it comes to credential evaluation processes, because we've realized that the education has been structured in such a way that you'll not be able to transfer your credentials successfully to meet, let me say, Canadian standard or the US standard. The US system is a federal state. It has more than 50 states. So you cannot just say that, okay, so I applied to Texas, I applied to Virginia, and they didn't accept my credentials, so you are going to generalize it. No, it's false. Every state in US has its own nursing requirements and the kind of evaluation report that they accept. So we at UPC, we have been able to navigate the way and help, nurses with such a training background to have the US equivalent and meet the standard for eligibility to write the NCLEX. Next slide, please. So we are saying that who qualifies for this process? Who qualifies for the NCLEX? British trained nurses with a background in adult nursing. Of course, if you had your training as an adult nurse, you qualify for this, you qualify to write the NCLEX. If you are a trained pediatric nurse, you also qualify to write the NCLEX, and also mental health nurse or psychiatric nurse. You qualify to write the NCLEX. So at the qualification level, we can talk of being a bachelor or a postgraduate or a master. So if, let's say, originally you are from Nigeria, you came to UK to have your master's in adult nursing or a BSc in mental health nursing, we are saying that you qualify based on the qualification that you have, you qualify to get eligibility to write the NCLEX exams. Yeah. Foreign educated nurses who also live and work in the UK. So we are not talking only about those who had their training in the UK. So there are two levels. We have nurses who are originally from Ghana and Nigeria, who currently working in UK, and they want to pursue the USRN journey, you also qualify to write the NCLEX. We are also looking at migrants who, of course, migrated to the UK and had their nursing education there. Their nursing, all their nursing education and their licenses are from the US, the UK government, the Nursing and Midwifery Council of UK. These people also qualify to get eligibility to write the NCLEX. So we are not only talking about those who are British. We are talking about all caliber of nurses who had their training in UK or who are currently practicing in UK and they want to transition and move to the US. These are the kind of nurses we are looking for. Next slide, please. Now, so this webinar or this presentation is about information sections. So I want you to take a key note of some of these things that I'm about to mention. So if you are a foreign educated nurse or a British trained nurse, there are key things that you need to take note when you intend to start your NCLEX journey. One thing you need to consider had to do with settling on the right credential evaluation agency for your academic evaluations. So as I indicated, if you are a foreign educated nurse and you want to write the NCLEX, the first step is you evaluating your credential. So evaluating your credential had to do with, of course, the US government want to ascertain that the certificate that you had are not fake, it's verifiable, and also you are truly a licensed person from your home country. So at this level, if you are a British trained nurse, it is important to know that there are a number of credential evaluation agencies that you can use. Of course, the popular one that we know is CGFNS, but beyond CGFNS, we have other credential evaluation agencies that are widely accepted by most board of nursing in the US. So it's important that you use the right credential evaluation company for your process. And we at UPC, we have a working relationship with a number of credential evaluation companies that we are able to work with and get the right credential report for British trained nurses. So it's important to take note of that. Another point that you need to know as a British trained nurse is that US operates a federal system. Your decision or your eligibility to test doesn't reside on a credential evaluation report. Your eligibility to write the NCLEX exam is determined by a US board of nursing. For example, Illinois has its own board of nursing, Virginia has its own board of nursing, Texas has its own board of nursing, New Mexico has its own board of nursing. Every state in the US has its own board of nursing that determines the eligibility to test for an applicant. So you cannot tell me that you apply to Virginia or you apply to Texas decline your eligibility to test. So it's the same everywhere. So as a British trained nurse, it's important to identify the right state board of nursing that accepts your nursing education. So we at UPC, we know the kind of state board of nursing that can work for you. Okay, we know the kind of state board of nursing that accepts your background. The moment you pass your NCLEX with a particular state board of nursing, you can transfer your scores to your desirable or your desired state board of nursing that you want to work. Using a state board of nursing to pass your NCLEX doesn't necessarily mean that that is where you are going to work. There are states that are form a compass state. Of course, if you happen to get your license from any member of the compass states and you have a residence address within any member of the compass states, it means that though you acquire your license from Colorado, but because Colorado is a member of the compass state, you can use your license to work within the 23 member state without not necessarily acquiring a different license from these other states. So it's important that you decide on the right state board of nursing for your NCLEX application as a British trained nurse. Another key thing that I want you to note is that preparation to write the NCLEX is needed. Of course, you having the eligibility to test does not necessarily mean that you've passed the NCLEX. There are state board of nursing that give you a 1-year application period. Others will give you a 3-year application period. So you having your eligibility to test or you having your application approved, you need to go a step further to pass your NCLEX. We at UPC, we have an NCLEX Academy. Of course, we operate virtually. We have an NCLEX Academy that trains our applicants across the world. We've achieved, last year, we recorded a high success rate. So we doing your credential evaluation report for you doesn't end there. We also mentor you, coach you on the NCLEX content and how the strategies that you need to adopt in order to pass your NCLEX exam. So it's important you note these things as a British trained nurse. One, the type of credential evaluation report, the type of credential evaluation company you are using. Two, the kind of state board of nursing you are using for your NCLEX application. And three, your preparation towards the NCLEX content. Next slide, please. So let me digest how the role that we play as case managers in your success or in your pathway in achieving your USRN dream. So we at UPC, for example, as a case manager for mental health nurses, we decide the kind of credential evaluation company that will best fit your background. Of course, if you had your nursing education from Ghana or Nigeria, there are particular state board of nursing or a particular credential evaluation agency that we will use for such a background. We also play a role of selecting the right state board of nursing that will fit your background. At the case management level, we decide as a team, look at your transcripts, look at your highest level of education, then we come into conclusion the US State Board of Nursing that will best fit your credentials. So much thinking goes into some of these decisions. And we have been, successfully using this strategy to achieve a lot of success rates for our clients. We also, enroll you in, of course, in an NCLEX class. Of course, we always recommend, though it's not forced, but we highly recommend that you cannot just sit at your corner and read, textbooks and pass your NCLEX. You need to be part of a whole support group, a whole support group, a whole tutorial class that will mentor you. There are two things that you need to master before you can pass your NCLEX. One, knowing the content, and also, adopting the strategy, knowing the strategy to answer the NCLEX content, the NCLEX questions. And we at UPC, we've been able to master these strategies. And of course, once you subscribe to our services, we assign you a case manager, and the case manager will be with you till the time that you pass your NCLEX. Yeah. We also link you to a US employer after you had passed your NCLEX. Of course, our process is self-sponsorship route. So you are obliged to look for your own employer, but beyond you passing your NCLEX and you want us to help you to find a recruiter or an employer, we at UPC can do that for you in a very, competitive rate. Next slide, please. Hello, Vida, can you hear me?
Yes, but can you please go over the last points again? You were breaking off a bit.
Oh, okay. So backtrack a little bit, the presentation slide. Can you go back? All right. Yeah, is it better now? Can you hear me?
Yes, better now.
All right. So let me take it once more again. So we at UPC, the role that we play in your success or throughout this USRN journey is that we come into conclusion the right credential evaluation company that will best fit for your academic background. So my thinking goes into it. At the case manager level, we meet as a team to decide based on your academic transcripts, based on your highest level of education, and based on where you had your nursing education, we take a decision and decide the right credential evaluation company to use for your case. I indicated earlier on that it is not only CGFNS that do credential report for nurses. There are a couple of them. So depending on your background, we decide the right credential evaluation agency to use for your case. We at UPC also help you in deciding the right state board of nursing that will best fit your background. There are almost more than 50 state board of nursing in the US. Every state board has its own requirement licensing regime. Of course, if you're a diploma holder and you want to get your license from Colorado, it's not going to work for you because Colorado only require you to have a degree before you can get the eligibility to test. So others also require you to have an associate degree. So all these are things that beyond these things, we also help you to enroll in an NCLEX class. We have an NCLEX Academy. We operate a virtual class with a competent tutors that will coach you to the time you pass your NCLEX. NCLEX test is such a way that you need to have that thinking cap, that critical thinking abilities. You cannot just sit at home and be reading and pass your NCLEX. There are two things that you need to do. You master the content and also you adopt the strategy in answering the questions. We also create an enabler, an enabling environment whereby you'll be part of a support group, a whole support group, with the same ambition, whereby you have a difficulty with a topic, you come together and you share some of these things. So there's a whole support group to help our clients as well. So beyond, doing all these things for you, after you had passed your NCLEX exams, of course, you are obliged to find your own employer. But if you approach us that, okay, so UPC, you've helped me to this point, help me to find a good employer, a US employer for your green card route, we at UPC can also help you to find a good employer that will sponsor your green card. Of course, you need to bear in mind that the visa category for the nurses are green card. We call it EB3, employment-based visa category. And it covers you, the spouse, and children below the age of 21, your immediate family. So we are advocating that if you have a nursing license and you want to practice in the US, it's doable, and we at UPC can help you to achieve that success. We can be part of that success story that you intend to share. So can you move on to the next slide, please?
Yes.
All right, so at this point, I will end my presentation and request clarity, or if you have any question bothering your mind, this is the right time for you to act based on the presentation that I just shared with you. Beyond that, if you have any question around the whole USRN NCLEX journey, we at UPC can help you find answers to your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dixon. If you are just joining us, we just finished a presentation about how UK trained RN can work in USA. That presentation was done by Dixon. He's one of our case managers and consultants. And the floor is now open for questions. Vida will coordinate that. When you have a question, you can either raise your hand using the emoji and we'll call you, or you can leave the questions in the chat box. We are here to extensively address your questions. So thank you very much, Dixon, for explaining this thoroughly and for that presentation. Vida, over to you, please.
Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. If you have any question, you can just raise your hand, use the raise hand icon, or you can just type it in the chat if you can't talk, so I can read that out. So I can see we have one hand raised here. Please, you can unmute and ask your question. Can you hear us, please? It's like you're unmuted, but we can't also hear you. So if you can hear us, please go ahead with your question. Seems like we still can't hear you. Please, if anyone else has a question, then let us know. So I'll just go to the chat. Okay, so
I
there's
have a question.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah, hello everyone. My
Hi.
question is,
Thank you for sharing our flyer too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. All right. My question is this: in UK, they have a program called Masters in Nursing Pre-Registration. So that program is for graduates that have a bachelor's degree that can come in and study nursing, and the program is for 2 years, right? So I want to know. And when you graduate, the certificate they give us is MSc Nursing, Masters in Nursing, and it's a 2-year program, pre-registration. I want to know if somebody can work in the US with that certificate, because generally in UK, their nursing program is 3 years, right? For bachelor's degree, either adults, mental health. They also have for masters, which is 2 years, same for adults, mental health. So I want to know if the 2-year program is going to be a problem. You know, I always battle that. So that's my question. I don't know whether you get.
Yes, so thank you so much for your question. Dixon, if you're available, or Francis, if you're also available, can you please answer this question?
Yeah, so I will take that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so if you have masters in adult nursing pre-registration, so pre-registration basically means that you are yet to have your nursing license with NMC UK. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
Ye-
we deal with, so beyond you having the academic qualification, you should also have what we call the professional qualification. So the professional qualification is you having a nursing pin.
Yeah.
Okay, so you having a master's in nursing is not enough. You should be able to also register with the NMC UK so that you have a nursing license. Because eventually, if you pass the NCLEX, you are going to practice as a nurse. So you having the academic certificate is not enough, but you need to also have the PIN with the Nursing and Midwifery Council of UK to be able to qualify and practice as a nurse in the US. So it goes beyond the academic. You need to also have the PIN to practice. When you have these two, then you are a nurse. So regardless of whether it was a 2-year program or a 3-year program, the basis is that you are a nurse, you are a registered nurse. Because once NMC UK give you the license, it means that you qualify to practice as a nurse. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right. But my colleague Francis is standing by if you want to chip in something. Francis, over, please.
Dixon, I think it's clear, so let's move on.
You can take the next question, please. Over.
There's another hand raised by Owen Okoye. Can you please unmute and ask your question?
Hello. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Dixon, for the presentation. I have a question, and it's somewhat in line with the last question, but a slightly different format. My question is also about the MSc pre-registration nursing in the UK. So what actually happens is that after you complete the program, which is a 2-year program, at the end of the program, you get qualified to register with the NMC in the UK, and then you are qualified to work as a nurse. My question is for people who are already in the program, is there anything they could do during the program while they are yet to graduate, probably in their final year, to make it more easy or more likely for them to qualify to register with the US? Are there postings or any extra thing they might need to do while they're still in school to make up for any lapses or differences between the UK and the US training, to make sure that once they apply, it becomes easier for them, for those that are still in school? That's the first part of the question. Why the second part of the question is that I also have someone who is enrolling this in February for the program, and they have a choice to choose between the adult, mental, or pediatric nursing. I do understand that during the presentation, you mentioned that any of those choices would qualify to apply to the US. But in your experience, is there any of the three that gives a better chance to register? If you could advise in that direction. But the first question, as per who is already in the program, anything they could do to increase their chances, or the person who is about to enter the program, could you advise any of the three that increases the chances? Thank you.
All right,
I'd like to take the first one.
All right, go ahead.
Yes. So basically, your transcript will be good enough for credentialing. if you register with UPC, we have a way out. But then to increase your chances, if you are still in school and you can take extra courses in obstetrics and some other programs and get the clinical hours recorded on your transcript and other things, it will be the best. It may not be a requirement from your school, but if you have the option of doing that and it will go in your transcript, it will be the best. That's a bit about the first part of the question. Dixon, you can take over.
Yeah, so to also add few words to what you just indicated. So if your nursing pre-registration program is, let's say, adult nursing, and you happen to get a placement, the placement is basically what we call the clinical hours. You happen to get on the job training at a facility that offers internship or a clinical hours on obstetrics and pediatrics and all those things. Go ahead and do it and document it. It's very important. Try and chronicle all the clinical hours that you had, the clinical hours experience that you had during your training. Make sure that you chronicle, you document all those things. The number of hours you had at the pediatric ward, the number of hours you had at the mental or the surgical ward or the medical ward. Please do well to document some of these things. It's very important. It says that your university or your faculty record all those clinical hours that you had, that placement that you had on any facility. Let them put them on your academic file. It will help you one day. Though you've been trained as a mental health nurse or an adult nurse, if you get opportunity at the OBS and gynae or at the surgical ward during your training, please document the clinical hours. Make sure that the facility keep records of all those things. It will help you one day. What we need is evidence. Is there a proof that you had such a training, such an experience during your training? Yes. And if you can prove some of these things, it will go on a long way to help you. Of course, we advising you to the kind of specialty you want to do. Me as a case manager, maybe Priscilla can speak to that, but of course you need to look at your interests. You need to be motivated by your passion. Nursing goes beyond the academics. It has to be accompanied by the passion. Do you have passion to help people with psychosis or mental disorder? Of course, if you don't have that passion, you need not to go into the mental health section. Or if you have passion to help the aged, it means that geriatric nursing is for you. So you decide your interests and also your academic pursuits, then some of these things should influence the kind of specialty that you want to do. But Madam Priscilla is here. Maybe she can speak to that a little. Over, please.
Yes, so you've said it. You've said everything pretty much from the case manager's perspective. None of them outweigh the other. They are equally nursing, whether it's adult nursing, pediatrics, or mental health. None of them is going to stand out. They are all on the same pedestal. And as Dixon said, you have to go with what you love to do, because if you can't be with the mentally ill patients, it's not for you. So pretty much that's it. We can move on to the next one. And I hope your question has been addressed, Owen.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I'll take one question from the chat. Just hold on a bit so I can get one. So one question here is, do I need to prove my English proficiency if I'm already working as a nurse in the UK? Dixon,
Yes,
Francis, if you're available.
so proving your English proficiency, it had to do with where you had your nursing education and also the kind of state board of nursing you are applying to. Of course, if you are using Virginia, Virginia will require you to have passed an English proficiency test, even though your syllabus or your country, the first language is English. So it depends on the state board of nursing that you are using for your NCLEX application, and also where you had your nursing education. If you're a Nigerian and you had your nursing education in UK, the official language in UK is English. You wouldn't be required to pass an English proficiency test at the NCLEX application level. So you need to bear in mind that the USRN journey is in two levels. You need to meet a state requirement and also a federal requirement. The federal requirement, you can talk of, you need English proficiency tests to do what we call a visa screen certificate. So the visa screen certificate is for immigration purpose. Though Illinois will waive you from writing English proficiency tests at the NCLEX application level, but when you get to the immigration level, you will need English proficiency tests to do a visa screen certificate. So it's pretty hard to do with where you had your nursing education, not as an individual. If you're a Nigerian and you had your nursing education in UK, you wouldn't be permitted to pass an English proficiency test. Over, please.
Okay, thank you for answering that. So back to the hands raised again. There's one name here. It's not name, but it's iPad. If you've raised your hand, so you can unmute and then go ahead with your question. If you can hear us, please unmute and go ahead. Okay, so let me take one other question from the chat. It's by Dr. Brian. What state's Board of Nursing do you recommend?
Francis, maybe you can speak to that if
All
you are
right,
standing
so
by.
at the moment, we cannot be in the position to mention any particular state that should be recommended, because the recommendation is based on what we see as far as your academic credentials are concerned. And also, mind you, the boards keep changing their standards every second without informing anyone. So what used to be the case yesterday may not be the case today. And you work towards it, and today it is working, but in the next few moments it's not working. I'll be lying to you. So we don't recommend any state until we look at your background and the current circumstances and the standards that are being used by the various board at that particular time. Then we make an informed decision that will help you make a smooth transition to the US.
Okay,
And
thank you.
the same goes for the type of credential evaluation service that we'll use for you. So we are not able to tell you this or that until we look at your background and the current circumstances.
Okay, so next question is by Pumpkin.
Hello. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you.
my name is Chris. I'm already with you. I
Okay.
think Mr. Francis knows me very well. So I'm having this like it's been for some time now. I don't know, like my faith, like my school has submitted some my documentations from my nursing school and everything, and it has been rejected twice for them to add the clinical hours by the evaluation body. So and they have submitted the last one. So my faith is, where do I stand? I hope they will accept this, because I'm really worried, because I'm lacking, like my school didn't put anything in maternity, because I didn't do maternity. I'm really getting worried.
Okay, I think your case manager is here, so he'll be the best person to answer this for
Mr.
you.
Francis, please clarify.
All right, Chris, do you want us to talk about this matter here, or you want to speak to me privately?
For the interest of other people, if there's anything that is open for people to learn, so you can speak to me here. I don't mind.
All right, so at the moment, your document has been accepted and uploaded on your portal, and the evaluation process is ongoing. By 12 February, we will know what will come out, but it is looking promising. That's what I can tell you.
Okay, please, let's keep looking promising, because I can't.
Yes. Yes, so don't be anxious, please. Don't be anxious. We're working with the evaluator. She has uploaded every document that you have presented, and it is good enough for her to work with. That is why she has not requested anything more. And the tentative date for the release of your report is 12 February. So let's keep our tabs on that. And maybe you'll be back here to tell your colleagues what came out of it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Francis.
Thank you very much, Francis, for addressing that. In addition to that, I think it's just a good opportunity to chip this in. One of the reasons why you should sign on to UPC is that we have a corporate relationship with almost all these evaluation companies. That is why he's able to give you a data. So on these dates, we'll find out this. We have a corporate relationship with all the evaluation companies. So when you're one of UPC's applicants, they prioritize you and they give us responses. When you are an individual sitting in your house and emailing them or calling CGFNS, you're going to be on the line for 3 hours. But when we reach out to them, because of the corporate relationship we have, they are able to quickly check on our cases and give us feedback in prompt time. And that will save you a lot of time, because we are like an mediator for you and advocating on your behalf. Thanks. You can go ahead, Vida.
Okay, so the next raised hand, Talakin, you can go ahead with your question, please. And then after that, I'll move on to the chat again.
Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My question is regarding my husband. He's a mental health nurse and he was trained in the UK. And now I'm wondering if what the success rate is for mental health nurses, and if he would have an issue passing NCLEX, because I know that NCLEX covers other aspects of nursing, not just mental health, but maybe I'm not sure. But yeah, the question is for my husband, and yeah, I was wondering what his success rate would be if he writes the NCLEX exam, and if you've had any dealings with a mental health nurse from the UK, trained in the UK. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to take this. Generally, the nurses we work with comes from various specialties. So we work with midwives, we work with mental health nurses, and then we work with general nurses. If you are using the UK ratings, then we also work with pediatric nurses and all that. The truth of the matter is that our NCLEX Academy walks you through every breath, every corner, every length of the NCLEX materials that you will need to study and pass. And as we speak now, nurses from all these various categories have passed through our hands. They have written the NCLEX and actually passed, and they are at various stages of their immigration process. The most important thing that you will need to pass pass NCLEX. Dedication, determination. So if he's ready, I can promise him that he can study and write and pass. And we have so many people from his background who have done that. Thank you.
Dixon, do you have any addition to this, please?
Yeah, so a few things. Yeah, so if you we've successfully helped a couple of mental health nurses who had their training from UK to get their eligibility. Of course, they are in the stage of preparing for their NCLEX, but of course, you know, NCLEX, it's not, NCLEX doesn't benefit nurses, registered general nurses alone. NCLEX is a holistic, you know, it's a whole content. So you being trained as an adult nurse is not going to benefit you in any way. You need to learn the content. You having your training as a mental health nurse is not going to be a disadvantage to you. You need to master the entire content. Of course, the principle of nursing, care plan and everything is general. It's cut across all specialty. You need to know the universal rules of nursing. You need to know your care plan. But of course, if you look at the NCLEX contents, it doesn't benefit adult nurses or mental health nurses or pediatric nurses. You need to master the entire content. Once, as my colleague said, once you have a dedicated 5 months or 6 months or 4 months, a dedicated time, you master the content and also know the strategy in answering the question. So it's in 2 levels, knowing the content and also knowing the strategy to answer the questions. Once you get these 2 going, you are good to go. Yeah. Over, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
So
very much.
please go ahead.
And Priscilla, you can attest to it. You've interviewed nurses who had their training from UK and they are now practicing in US, right? They've
Correct.
passed the NCLEX, yeah.
Yes, they have. So it's doable. Others have done it, and I'm sure you know 1 or 2 people who have moved from the UK to the US. I would like to take this opportunity to also thank you all for being here. If you haven't heard about our promotion that is currently going, I think you would be a good beneficiary of that. Somewhere 20th November last year, we decided to do a little giveaway towards the end of the year. If you want to enroll with us, you have to pay the full enrollment amount. It's on our website. And after that full amount is being paid, you automatically qualify for 1 month class for free. And you're still in good time. It ends in 4 days. Today is 27th. The promotion ends January 31st. That is on Wednesday. So if you're convinced and you want to embark on this journey, if you enroll between today and 31st of January, you are entitled to 1 month free NCLEX class. It's a virtual class. It's normally in the evenings, and we have class recordings. We have a lot of study materials. You don't have to buy anything. We have question banks from Archer, Spider-Man, UWorld, all you can think of. And you have a one-on-one relationship with the tutors before class, during class, after class, till the day you write in class. The tutors are going to be working with you hand in hand, and you have a one-on-one access to the case managers and the entire team. So just so you know, you have 4 days. You can still use this time to make up your mind and enroll. Vida, please continue with the questions. That's just by the way.
Okay, so Emmanuel is also asking, does your service cover the entire application process for the evaluation? That is how to package your transcripts in order to make your application successful. So Dixon or Francis, can you answer this, please? Or Presla, if you can also answer.
Wider, you can answer. That's your office. Answer. Wider, answer that question. If you're okay.
So we promote or we run a self-sponsorship program for the nurses. This means that you pay the service charge to us. We take you through everything from your credential evaluation to board of nursing and all the requirements to NCLEX registration process, and also linking you to an employer and getting you a job. So when I say self-sponsorship, what I mean is that you sponsor yourself through the entire process. We do not collect anything else aside our service charge. All the other payments you do, especially when it comes to the credential evaluation or the board of nursing or the NCLEX registration fee, you pay that. But the good thing about all of this is that it's an investment in yourself, because when you pass the NCLEX and we link you to our employer to get you a job, you also get reimbursed for the expenses that you have made. So even though you invest in yourself, at the end, get your money back. So it's a good deal that we can all think about this evening and make the necessary decisions, especially this 2024. As Priscilla said, make it a goal to become a USRN by the end of 2024. So I hope, Emmanuel, that answers your question.
And also the secret about, let me tell you, the secret about you self-sponsoring this process is that, you know, or I mean, subscribing to UPC is that, you know, it gives you that leverage to concentrate on other things. You are the same person chasing your transcript, handling your credential process, filling forms wrongly, and all those stuff. So when you subscribe to us, we take care of all those things whilst you concentrate on your work and the NCLEX content. So it gives you that leverage. Madam, you pay $400 and Vida will do a whole lot of stuff for you. Vida, am I lying? Over, please.
Let me add this quickly before Vida proceeds. And the good thing is that fortunately for you guys based in UK, you have NCLEX centers or an NCLEX center around to take your boards, to take the NCLEX. You don't have to like travel to a whole different country to do that. So proximity wise, you are good to go. You don't have to think about plane tickets to India and South Africa and you go and you don't get a visa and you come home frustrated. That is out of the question for you. So it's a backup plan. I know people in the UK who have a USRN just as a plan B for the day that they might need it. And they just keep renewing it and making sure the license is active and maybe in the future. So it's a good thing to have.
In addition to that, with the NCLEX centers, Pearson VUE has also added additional centers this year in the UK. So it has increased the number of centers in the UK that you can write the NCLEX. It used to be about 5 centers, and now there are about 10 centers in the UK. So that's like an added advantage to those who live in the UK. Okay, so I think Eunice is also asking, my question is, I want to switch from an acute medical unit to endoscopy units. Do we have vacancies available for endoscopy nurses as well, or to be on the safe side, I should be in my acute medical unit? Secondly, do I need to do IELTS again? I think we've answered the IELTS part, but Priscilla, can you please take this? She's in the acute medical unit. She wants to move to endoscopy. Is it a right way to go, or should she just remain in the acute medical unit?
Okay. One advantage of doing the self-sponsorship as in paying for this whole process for yourself is you're not limited to where you have to be. If you sign up with an agency, they tell you that you have to remain in an acute medical setting, stay there till the whole process is done. So if it's going to take about 3 years, You have no luxury of moving or changing your unit, your ward, or your floor. And about self-sponsorship, you can go everywhere. And they are all part of nursing. And endoscopy nurse is a good skill to have on your resume as well. So you can move if you are doing that. Some people are already with agencies that they give you the contract to sign and they say they only want acute setting. That is ICU, PACU, step down, cardiac floors, and med surg, and they want you to stay there. But if you're doing this yourself, nobody controls where you go and where you would not go. That is an advantage or a pro of doing a self-sponsorship. So yeah, career-wise, if you feel like you want to go into endoscopy, you can. The good thing about US is there are so many specialties in nursing, and you can always move. I know somebody every 6 months is on a different unit just to see what happens there. So you can go ahead if that's what you want. Yes. We have a Ghanaian nurse who is heading one of the endoscopy departments in the UK, Joel, and he's doing a marvelous work. So if you think you like endoscopy, you can go for it. Yes, so Spendilove, yeah, I see you here. You are one of our beneficiaries. You successfully passed through the process. Emmanuel Date is here. You've passed through UPC, you've written your NCLEX and passed. Spendilove is actually in the UK. So if we finish the questions and we have like 5 minutes, she can just say hi and tell you reasons why you should join UPC. Spendilove, I caught you off guard. I hope you're prepared. Thank you.
Okay, I think I skipped one question. It's saying, please, I'm a midwife in the UK. How much does the whole program I think how much does the whole program cost? And she also has a diploma and she trained in Ghana. So is it possible for a Ghanaian trained midwife with a diploma to also do this?
Yeah, it's doable. But as a consulting firm, we are now prioritizing those with degree holders, mainly because of the board of nursing that we are using, and also our employer. You know, the board of nursing keeps changing their requirements each and every day. So if you have a degree in midwifery science, we will prioritize you than the diploma holder. Yeah. Yeah, so for
Okay.
now we are prioritizing the degree holders, but of course we have a pool of applicants with diploma. We will come to them, but for now we are only prioritizing the degree holders. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a question from Patricia Asian. She says, my question is, I just completed my MSc, 2 years pre-registration adult nursing in the UK, and just received my NMC PIN. Do I still need another requirement to be eligible to work in the US? Dixon Francis, did you hear the question?
Can you please re-echo what you said?
Yeah. She's saying that she just completed her MSc, 2 years pre-registration adult nursing in the UK, and she just received her NMC PIN. Does she need another requirement to be eligible to work in the US?
No. So once you have your nursing PIN, you are a qualified nurse. So you can start. You are good to go. You are good to go. So the nursing, we have 2 qualifications, the academic and the professional. So the academic is your transcript, your pre-registration qualification. That's the academic. And the professional is your license with NMC UK. So once you have the 2 and you reach out to us, we should be able to help you get the eligibility. But of course, you need to also be practicing. You need to be practicing to get the hands-on experience as a nurse. Yeah, so you are good to go. We can help you. Yeah.
Okay, so there's another question here asking about the English proficiency test. That's if he or she had her nursing education in the country that has the native language as English. So I think we talked about this earlier, that it depends on the board of nursing you use. And even aside that, you still need the English proficiency when you are working on your visa screen for your immigration process. So depending on the board of nursing you use, you might either need it during the registration, but you would definitely need it when you are working on your visa screen. So next question by K. If one registers with UPC, will transcripts and supporting documents be sent to the evaluation company directly, or will it be sent to UPC to send it to the evaluation company? I think the case managers can answer this.
Vida,
Yes.
you
Did you
want
hear
me
the
to,
question?
can you repeat yourself again, please? Sorry.
If one
I
registers
have,
with UPC, or Francis, do you want to answer it?
yes, I want to check it. Dixon, the person is asking uh, who who sends the academic credentials to the evaluation service. Ideally, this is a self-sponsored journey and we facilitate certain things, but we have some limits. So if you are a Ghanaian nurse who schooled in Ghana and have your first license from Ghana NMC, UPC will work on your license verification processes on your behalf after you have paid to the Ghana NMC their approved fees. Beyond that, anything that has to do with your school, it is your responsibility, but we guide you. But if you are not in this circumstance, then you will have to send your license verification to your various NMCs. And when it comes to your academic verifications, we will give you the direction to contact your school for your school to send this document directly to the evaluation service. It is of no use if we receive it because we are not going to work with it. It is supposed to come between the two institutions without passing through a third party. So the document, transcript, and other things should come directly from the issuing authority to the evaluation service without passing through a third hand. And if you are in the UK, when it comes to your license verification and you are a UK trained nurse with a license with NMC UK, you do not need to walk to any office. We will show you how to generate a license verification form and get it directly sent to the evaluator. But then with regards to your academic verifications, your transcript and other things, we will guide you as to what to request from your school and how to get it directly between your school and the evaluation service. So no transcript comes to us. We can only have a copy to look and advise as to how to approach the process, but we do not need to get a copy of your transcript to share with the evaluator. It is between the issuing authority and the receiving authority, that is the evaluation board.
Okay, thank you so much for answering that. So, Olayinka, you requested for advice with regards to your wife. So, I'm sending you a private message with our email address so you can send us any questions you have. And if you want to speak to anyone also, we can also send you the numbers of our case managers to talk to after we finish with this webinar. Okay. So Dr. Brian is also asking again, how much is your service charge? So Dr. Brian, we charge 400 USD for our service. But when you go on our website and you try making payments, you realize that it will give you the CD equivalent of the 400 USD. And this is because the receiving account is a Ghanaian based or a Ghana-based bank. That is why you will see the amount as written in Ghana cedis, but the service charge is $400. But if you do not want to use that payment method, or you have any challenges in making payment on our website, you can also send us a message and we can give you alternate payment methods to use.
All right, Vida, can you explain to the audience what the $400 is actually meant for and what it is not meant for purposes of education?
So the $400, as I stated, is our service charge. This includes consultation with our case managers, assistance with the nursing board registration and all the requirements that the nursing board is requesting. It also includes assisting you with the NCLEX registration, booking your NCLEX, and giving you consultation on how to go about your booking. You don't just get up and say, okay, you've been approved by the board, so you want to book your NCLEX. There's a way of going about it so as not to get you stressed at the end of the day. It also includes linking you to an employer, and for our people here in Ghana, since we are here with them, it also includes, giving you advice on your travel to write the NCLEX. Unfortunately for us here in Ghana, we don't have any center in Ghana. The only center is in South Africa, and the recent one is in Kenya. So it means that for you to write NCLEX as a Ghanaian nurse, you need to travel. So we give you advice on how to get your plane ticket, how to book it, how to, get accommodation to go and write and come back. So that is what the $400 entails for anyone who wants to know what it covers. I think I've answered that, right, Francis?
So it's basically our workman compensation, right?
Yes.
All right.
But it even goes beyond, because at the end we link you to an employer. We do not charge anyone to link to an employer. Once you pay the $400 service charge, it includes all of that. Once we link you to the employer, we do not charge you to get a job for you. We do not charge you to, get in contact with the employer. It's all inclusive. So that's what our service charge covers. So Kemi wants us to talk about the visa retrogression in the US. Priscilla, Dixon, Francis, who will take this?
At the moment, retrogression is something that nobody is able to bypass it. But the line will only get longer if you don't join early. And that's what we'll say. It will only get longer for you if you don't join early. So do not let retrogression scare you. And the thing is, retrogression is not a malignant situation that do not go. It is for a period, and one day retrogression will not be there. So do not be scared of retrogression. Do what you can control and leave what you cannot control to those who can control that. UPC cannot control it. Not even the nursing boards can control retrogression. Not even any recruiter can control retrogression. It is only the US Immigration Services who can control this. So let's leave their job for them. Retrogression has nothing to do with you if you have not passed your NCLEX. So let it be something you are concerned with only after you have passed your NCLEX. But do not let these things scare you from making the first step. The first step is the most important one, and we advise you do that.
Okay.
And even with the retrogression, you see that the immigration process is even the last stage of the whole NCLEX chain. So if you've, as my colleague said, if you've not passed your NCLEX, you don't have your employer has not filed for you, on what basis should you be worried about retrogression? It means that you don't even have what it takes to apply for a job in the US. So yeah, so immigration is the last stage of the whole NCLEX, application chain. So you need not to worry. What is within your control is you passing your NCLEX exams and finding a recruiter. The recruiter will file for you, will sponsor your green card. Over, please.
Okay, so can one start with NCLEX tuition class before starting with any process?
Yeah, let me take that. So this is a matter of choice. But then one will want to ask themselves, what is the point in studying if I haven't started the process? Because you will only get rusty if you are not using the studies for anything. So giving yourself some timelines and starting a project puts you in the right path to have a purposeful study. Because believe you me, those who have passed the NCLEX in our meeting right now will tell you that if you don't have a date in mind, if you don't have any purpose in mind, if you don't have anything that should motivate you, if you don't have any targets, your study will not go the way it's supposed to do. So ideally, as a matter of choice, you can start the NCLEX study before starting even credential evaluation and other things. But the best advice we'll give you is kickstart the credential evaluation. Get your documents to your school. Get the license verification done. See how things are moving. Even before your report is out, you can start the NCLEX study. That will put you on the journey to a purposeful end.
Okay, so next question. What is the annual package for USA if being self-sponsored? This is by Hashiel. So what is the annual package?
Let her come clear with the question, because personally I don't
Yeah.
understand the
So
question.
Hashiel, can you please rephrase your question and send it again, if possible? Thank you so much for answering it, for asking anyway. So YM is also asking, can you share the NCLEX strategy with us? I have MSc in adult nursing here in the UK. I think the NCLEX strategy, Dixon mentioned it. So I think we'll skip that also. And then Eunice is also asking, will BSc midwifery be equivalent to BSN in the USA during practice? Will BSc midwifery be equivalent to BSN in the US during practice?
During credential evaluation, these modalities are worked on, and the board acceptance also depend on some few variables. But as soon as you are given the all clear to write this NCLEX, it means that the board approves your BSc midwifery. But then they still see it as BSc midwifery. When you are converting these transcripts and their names into the American standards, you look at the motive for the credential evaluation. Is it academic? Are you going to school? Are you going to further education, or are you going to work? So whoever is going to work with what they have may put a different meaning to what they are translating. And a university will also put a different meaning into the same document that is being translated. So based on what you are using your transcript for comes the equivalence. Because the nursing institutions, the nursing boards are not going to further your education in any way. So they just want to know whether you are a nurse from your various countries and you have satisfied certain basic requirements that they need. But a university will not be looking at that angle. So whoever is receiving your credential evaluation has a purpose for receiving it, and the translation differs. Maybe Dixon can talk more on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So yeah, rightly what you said. So you see, the nursing board of nursing, there are key things that they look out for. So some look for the number of clinical hours you had on certain courses. Let me say medical nursing, surgical nursing. So regardless of you being trained as a midwife or general nurse or psychiatric nurse, you all took a course in medical nursing or surgical nursing or pediatrics. So they look at all these variables. And to also answer your question, the moment you pass your NCLEX exams, you are a USRN. You are not going to work as a midwife or a psychiatric nurse. Though you can perform or you can function well at the labor and delivery unit, you cannot use that title as a psychiatric nurse or a midwife. Once you pass your NCLEX exams, you are at registered nurse level 1. You are all classified as an RN, regardless of the unit that you are working. If you want to further your education and go into that specialty, there's a special school you go and also write another licensure, advanced nursing. In US, they call it an advanced nursing. So once you pass your NCLEX exam, regardless of the fact that you are being trained as an adult nurse or a midwife or a psychiatric nurse, you all start at an RN level, registered nurse level 1. If you are, how do you call it? An enrolled nurse from Ghana, you qualify as a licensed practical nurse. So they are registered nurse level 2. So you cannot use the title a midwife or a mental health nurse. Yeah, so basically that's how it is. They look at certain courses on your transcript, but it varies from State Board of Nursing to State Board of Nursing. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So there's another question. How much is the NCLEX Academy? Priscilla, can you please answer this?
Oh, sure. So we have an NCLEX Academy that runs for 16 weeks, pretty much 4 months, and 1 month is $50. The entire 4 months is $200 USD. As I said, if you enroll between now and Wednesday 31st, you have that 1 month free, all paid for. So yes, $50 a month, and it goes for 16 weeks. You have tutors who will work. Just like how we are on here, Zoom live class, we have these live classes at least 3 times a week. And in between then, we have lecture notes, assignments, audio reading assignments, video assignments throughout the entire 16 weeks. And you can reach out to your tutors off hours, whether there's class or not. They are always there and answerable to you. They have an online setup where you go and you do reading materials and do your assignments online. So it tailors to somebody who is busy. Almost all of us are nurses, and we run shifts. So you have recordings from the class if you do miss a class, or even if you were in the class, but you needed to play the recordings again. We always send you recordings of the class. As soon as it ends, you get a recording and you can refer to that study material. So it's voluntary, it's out of the 400 USD. So when you enroll and you pay the enrollment fee of 400 USD, the academy is optional. You are not compelled to attend, but it's very, very highly recommended. And that is 200 on its own. So if you are in the academy and you enroll, everything will be 600. But if you don't want the class and you want to study by yourself or other means, all you've got to pay is 400 USD. Thanks.
Okay. So Eunice is asking again, my Ghana PIN is expired. I work in the UK. Do I need to renew the Ghana PIN? Dixon.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's important to have an active PIN, regardless of wherever you are. So though you are practicing in the UK, it's important you renew your Ghana PIN. Of course, if you talk to your UPC case manager, we should be able to help you navigate that. We have a working relationship with the NMC Ghana, so we should be able to sort you out. Yeah. Over, please.
Okay. So another question is, with the reimbursement fees, does it include the service charge? Pesca, can you take this?
If
Reimbursement.
so reimbursement, I think the person is referring to after you pass. I think Vada mentioned something
Yeah.
like the person passes, you are reimbursed. Yes. So everything that concerns your USRN journey, make sure you keep receipts that you can prove that, oh, I joined this class, it cost me 200 USD. You show the employer the receipts. It was all towards you becoming a USRN. So the enrollment you enroll, you give them receipts. Show me, our system auto generates receipts for you when you enroll. Make sure you keep a copy of that receipt. Show them that I enrolled, these people did everything for me. It was 400 USD. I did the classes, it was 200. I paid, or I FedEx or EMS or DHL my documents from here to here, it was $30. You have to keep all the receipts, and then they have a total. The employers have how much they can reimburse you up to. Some employers will not reimburse you, some will reimburse you. But with the employers we are working with, they are one that can reimburse you your NCLEX cost so far as you can prove it. They pay for your visa screen. Visa screen is very pricey, about 600 to 700 USD. They pay for that outright. So, and also they do premium processing for your visa. And retrogression, somebody asked the question, the dates are moving so fast. They have progressed from the last time I checked. So you better get in line and let you have your turn as well. Yeah, so they'll reimburse as far as you have the receipts. Thank you.
Okay, so one last question and then I think we can wrap it up. When will you be ready for those with diploma? Is it possible to still join the consult and start immediately? So with diploma, are you referring to
Is it the
registered
midwives
nurse?
or
Yeah.
general? If you
So
are,
can you please clarify the question again? Is it the midwife diploma or general
what?
nurse or psych diploma? She said midwife.
Oh, okay. So we you know, we have a backlog of a lot of
So
application.
I think we can break it into three. So we have midwives that are diploma, that have diploma, psych nurses that have diploma, registered nurses that have diploma. I think Dixon and Francis, you can tackle it in this way so that we all know which category everyone falls in. So diploma for midwives,
Let me
registered.
let me be straightforward. So
Okay.
currently the board that we are using for the midwives, if you have a midwifery background, there's a particular board that we use. And because their requirement keeps on changing, we've now prioritized those with degrees. So if you started your career as a diploma midwife and you went ahead to do your degree, you qualify, mainly because of the clinical hours and the contact hours we need for certain courses. Of course, if you are a diploma alone, the clinical hours or the contact hours for certain courses wouldn't be the same as the degree holder. Okay. Though we are still considering the diploma holders, but we are prioritizing the degree holders for now. So you just go ahead and do the registration on our website. You'll be part of our data pool, and obviously we'll reach out to you.
Okay, how about general nurses that have diploma and then psych nurses that have diploma?
Yeah, so for them, Francis, you can speak to that. But for them, they are good to go because of the clinical hours and the contact hours they already have. Yeah. But Francis, you can speak to that if you are standing by.
Yeah. So even if you're a general nurse, most of the rejection comes from your school. If they don't fill the forms well, they'll go against you. We have had 2 clients from the same school. They entered the school together on the same day, starting the same class, took the same courses, took the same exams, and graduated on the same day and got their licenses on the same day and work in the same unit at the same facility, but one got rejected and one got accepted. It had to investigation into this proved that it had to do with how their schools calculated certain things on the transcript for one of them. So yes, all general nurses by default will go through, but let's make sure that your school work on those documents clearly for you. As my good friend Chris brought it out, he's been back and forth with his school, but now things are moving on well.
Okay. Does it apply to the psych nurses also?
Yeah, it runs through. So it's basically had to do with your school, more like garbage in, garbage out. If your school, they are not familiar with how to calculate your clinical hours and contact hours, sometimes it affects the nurses. So we are actually stepping up our games to reach out to most of these NTCs. Then we guide them, as part of your training, your 3-year or 4-year nursing training. You are supposed to have a clinical hours, certain number of clinical hours completed based on the course that you are doing. So if you are a general nurse, you are supposed to do medical surgical 1, medical surgical 2. If you're a psych, you are supposed to do medical surgical 1, medical surgical 2. If you're a midwife, you are supposed to do more of obstetrics, medical surgical, and other stuff. So some of the schools, trust you me, they are doing much disservice. So ideally, the nursing chart sheet or the evaluation form had to be filled by the head of academics. The head of academics. Believe you me, there are some NTCs in Accra, secretaries who basically deal with, administrative staff and other, they fill that form. So if an administrative officer doesn't have a good appreciation about, the clinical hours and contact hours and happen to fill your form, obviously it's garbage in, garbage out. And at that level, as a case manager, we can't have control over it because all the documents are parceled and shipped directly from the school to the evaluation agency. We only get to know after your report had been issued. And at that level, we can't do much. So we try as much as possible to, educate some of these NTCs, those who directly work on this evaluation form, to do the right thing. There are certain courses that are integrated. For example, you can talk of maybe theater nursing. Theater nursing has to do with, surgical. So there are certain courses that are integrated. So even though it's not explicit on your transcript, but there's a component of, surgical nursing contact hours that you had, even though it's not explicit on your transcript that it's surgical nursing, but that integrated course, if the school is able to calculate it well, it should be able to add it in so that you get enough contact hours and clinical hours. We are trying to educate them, but of course, we have the limits that we can go. So that is it. Over, please, Ryder.
Okay, so let me just take one last question and then we can finish with the webinar. So someone is also asking for the band score for the visa screen. what's the band score that is accepted for the visa screen process?
He means the English proficiency test.
Yes.
No, so with the English proficiency test for the visa screen, of course, it's not limited to only one particular test. As in being an IELTS academic, you can use OET, you can use PT. There are a couple of them. So, but of course, with the IELTS academic, you need a total score of 6.5. Then speaking should be 7.0. Yeah, so you can have 6.5 in each of the thematic areas, but speaking should be 7.0. Then the total band score should be 6.5. You are good to go. IELTS academic. OET, you can use OET for your visa screen, and PTE. There are a couple of them. Yeah, but I think the popular one that we know is the IELTS academic, and you should, once you get 6.5 scores with 7 speaking, you are good to go. Over, please.
Okay, so I think at this point we'll wrap it up. We've been talking for almost 2 hours now. So if you have any more questions for us, I have typed our email address in the chat. So kindly send us your questions so that we can answer them for you. If you want to talk to any of us, you send us the email, and then based on your question, we will direct you to the right person to answer that and have a meeting with you. So on behalf of USRN Pathway Consult, I would like to thank everyone again for joining us. It's not easy getting people to spend so much time with us nowadays, looking at how busy everyone is. So thank you so much again for joining us. And you can also check out our social media pages. We are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. So you can also check out our social media pages. I don't know if Priscilla or anyone else has anything to say.
Yes, so thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's been a good session. I hope we've been able to ease some of your fears and clear some of your doubts. And if you have any further questions, please reach out to us. Thank you for those who have joined us, who are with UPC and have benefited in one way or the other and still made time to join this meeting. We see you all, and we hope that you enroll and benefit from this promotion that ends on Wednesday, January 31st. Go and spread the word, and we'll see you again in another seminar or webinar. Follow our social media platforms. Thank you, case managers, for being here. Thank you, the entire UPC team, and thank you, everybody, and have a good evening wherever you are.